Hi everyone and welcome to the Lure Fishing Project. This is part 3 of Hobie Week, and incidentally it is round 3 of the Hobie Fishing Series, and we were on Wallaga Lake. So this is back on the 21st and 22nd of March. So this did prove to be another very tough round down at Wallaga, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to roll back through what happened last year and tell you a bit about that so you can compare the two and roll into this one, which actually the interviews from this one were very cool, so I hope you enjoy them. All right, let's roll the intros and I will tell you what's going on.
Welcome to the Lure Fishing Project, where Australia's best lure anglers share their tips and stories to help you catch more fish and have more fun on the water. Here's your host, Andrew Deeth.
All right, so for this one, held in March this year, we were told last year that September maybe wasn't the right month to hold it in Wallaga Lake, but it turns out the fish weights were quite different, and we can compare those, or you guys can compare those. What I would say about Wallaga, the little park there, the Big Four, I think it is, was just beautiful. And to be able to rent a little cabin, walk your kayak down, launch it, leave it in a nice little harbour, I guess, or a little bay, was beautiful. They had a coffee van there where you could get a bacon egg roll and a coffee before you go out on the water without getting in your car. Honestly, it was pretty amazing. I was fortunate enough to have my family down there with me, the grandkids and what have you, and had a pretty good time with those outside of the Hobie comps. All right, we'll do the bite periods and then we'll go from there. Okay, so for this one, on the Saturday, we had 77 in the fish activity wheel with a minor bite period at 8:21 through to 9:51 a.m. The major bite period was right at the back at 1:21 p.m. through to 3:51. Low tide was at 4:42 a.m. at 0.21. High tide was at 10:53 a.m. at 1.44. On the Sunday, slightly lower, 63 in the fish activity wheel with a minor bite period at 9:34 through to 11:04. The major bite period was just after the competition day at 2:15 through to 4:45. Low tide was at 5:34 at 0.21, running up to a high tide at 11:42 at 1.34. Okay, so like I was saying in the little introduction bit last year, we were told that September probably wasn't the ideal time to be down there, and there's probably truth to that. But one thing I do want to point out is Jason Marshall last year, he caught his 6 fish for 6.41, which was obviously an outlier, an outstanding bag. Jamie Cole in second place at 3.6, so pretty much half the weight. And then Chris Byrne at 3.48. So 3.48 for third place. Now in this round, our top 3 weights are 3.43, 3.32, and 3.12. So last year, third place would have been enough to take the win. Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting result and worth bringing up. So last year, Jason Marshall, Jamie Cole, and Chris Byrne. And this year, Jack Gammie, Ben Hanscombe, Jon Chen, and then Chris Byrne. There you go. All right, let's roll into the angler interviews. Here we go. Okay, so first up in third place, we have an angler dropping 3 fish on the Saturday for 1.36. Backing it up on the Sunday with a much better bag, 3 fish for 1.76, giving him a total of 6 fish for 3.12. And third place, I have Jon Chen. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you, Deethy. Always a pleasure to be on this show and glad to be back on.
Mate, we love to have you on, and everyone's impressed, mate. 1 of 2 full bags, mate. You must be pretty happy about that number.
Yeah, after last year's poor effort, I just had the goal of filling a bag each day. Yeah, it was good to fulfill that.
Absolutely. All right. Given last year was a little bit tricky, what did you do in preparation for this one?
Pretty much I didn't do any planning, so I pretty much just thought what I did last year. And in pre-fish, I just explored areas I didn't explore the previous year. So pretty much one of the arms I didn't explore, so yeah, I just headed out and worked all new areas.
Okay. And did you find them on the Saturday? And if you did find them, did you tell your roommates about it?
I told them that I caught a bag which I
Yep.
did. I caught 3 legals on pre-fish. I told them roughly how I got them. I was fishing under schools of tailor in about 2.5 meters of water, which, yeah, pretty much what I did on the comp days. So just not where exactly I found them.
Yeah, which I think is pretty fair. Yeah, the comment was made when I was driving home that we roomed with him and he didn't tell us where they were.
I told them.
Fair enough. All right. You said that you went and explored bays that you didn't explore last year. Is that where you actually found the fish?
Yeah, so pretty much I started on a point and there was heaps of activity on that point. It went from 4 meters up to about 2.5 and it stayed 2.5 for a little bit before it went up to point 0.8 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And there was plenty of bait on there and there was heaps of tailor pushing the bait up and eating the bait fish. So pretty much I started off casting plastics because I didn't want to lose too many hard bodies or vibes at that time, and I just slowly worked away from the tailor, so I wouldn't hook up on the tailor, let it sink and then work it through the tailor underneath. And I picked up a bream, would have been about 29 centimetres, and I was like, oh, seems like they're under there feeding with the tailor. Mm-hmm. And then I moved off and fished the shallow edges, had a look at all the bays. I went into one of the arms all the way to the back, and I could see bream and stags, but just couldn't tempt them. Oh. And I tried everything on the edges, plastics, surface, hard bodies, and I just couldn't tempt a bream. I then moved further around that arm until I reached past Snapper Point and towards the back century zone. And that's when I started seeing more fish activity on the sounder. There were schools of fish on the side scan. And that's where I guess I found a flat that was 2.5 meters, had tailor feeding, and you could see bream on the bottoms, and on the side scan you could also see the dig holes from bream or fish around the areas on the flats. I started to work that area with blades. I think the first 2 fish was tailor, and then I hooked up to one bream that was 27, and then another one that was like 32 centimeters to tip. And then pretty much I changed a few lures away from blades just to see if I could get them cranking on the flats or something like that, and plastics as well, but all I could get was tailor and not another bream. I pretty much didn't fish that area. I just moved off because I was like, if there's fish there, I don't want to sting anything. And then I tried to replicate that and look for other points with that 2.5 meter depth and bait on it, but there wasn't too many other areas that I could find with a big flat that was 2.5 meters. So then I headed back closer to the event site and tried some banks along there, and there was a few with some bait and looked like bream underneath them, and then I headed back in. Got a call from Carl to say, where are you? Because I was like still happily fishing away, and then headed back in and decided to retie my reels and lines and everything else.
Fair enough. So Saturday morning, what'd you get up to? Where'd you head off to, more or less?
Pretty much I was pretty far back in the pack from launch. I wasn't too keen to start because it was a pretty tough pre-fish, even though it was a lot better than a few others I've heard. I paddled off straight into the lake and then down past Snapper Point all the way to where I got the 2 fish, which was closer to the century zone, up that far arm. And so I started there, and then I realised my marker that I put on my sounder was right next to Tony Petty. And then, so realised that next to me was Peter Bruckle, and I had, Naughty as well next to me. And
Wow.
could see Simon as well, fishing around the area.
Okay.
It was about maybe 8 or 7:50 when we got up there. And I think, as I got there and got ready, I saw Tony catch a fish. I was like, okay, they're still here. So I started casting away, and I noticed that he was working his vibe quite fast. So I started to, work my blade a little bit faster. And I think my first fish was a tailor, then maybe a flathead. And then I caught my first bream that was, I think, 26 to the tip.
Okay.
And, marked it on the sounder. By the time I filled the lie well and everything else, I drifted a bit. So I paddled back to my mark, threw out another cast, and I think I got my second fish, which was like a 27 to the tip.
Okay.
And then I had a few more casts, and then I think by that stage, Tony had caught his bag and upgraded once.
Right.
And I had a few more casts, and then I caught another one, which was, I think it was maybe 32 to the tip.
Okay.
So it was closer to 9 o'clock, and I had my bag. And then I continued to cast around and caught another legal that was 27, I think, that pushed out, maybe it was 28, that pushed out the 26. And then we continued to fish that area. When that cloud cover lifted off and it got a bit sunnier, the fish seemed to move off that 2.5 meters of, that flat. And I'm not sure if they were moving with the bait or they seemed to come in waves. So either, I would get a fish, and then Tony or Peter Bruckle would get a fish all around the same time.
Sure.
And then it would be quiet for a while, and then it would be the same. But after fishing that, it was about 10 o'clock. It was pretty quiet for a long period of time. I started, probably about 11 o'clock, I started to make my way back to see if I could find some other fish for the next day.
Yeah.
But probably got to around 12:30. I moved back closer to the weigh-in area. There was a bank off there. I think I call it Carl's bank, because last year he caught his bag there and upgraded on that bank on the last day. So I went there and I caught maybe 2 legals, a 27 and I think another 27, so it didn't really help my bag, but it was good to get, a few more bream.
Yeah, wow. So you're on, like, from what I can see, about maybe 6 legals for the day so far.
Yeah, I think it was close to 8 legals for that first day. So 6 up the back and then, 2 up the front.
Yeah, in the context of the day, that's huge. Now, let's talk about your blades and what you were using. So what blade were you running, and lines and leaders and all that sort of stuff?
So pretty much it's a stealth blade. It's from Peter Cook. Peter Cook makes the blades. And one was a Suji prawn colour that I used on the first day. And it's, a blade that as soon as you lift it, it starts vibing. It's like a good weight that I can cast far. And I rig it with decoy S25s in either 16 or 14.
Yeah.
And throughout the day I would change the hooks to make sure that they're really sticky.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess in a tough arena every bite counts.
And in terms of working them, so I think you said you saw Tony working them faster. What do you think was the go-to technique on the day?
For me, it was to mix it up between a single hop and a double hop. So I'd cast it out as far as I could, let it sink to the bottom, but don't let it sink, don't let it sit on the bottom. Then give it, a short, sharp hop or double hop, and then let it sink to the bottom again, and then, continue that pattern.
Okay.
But I guess, having confidence in being able to see the fish on the sounder, and then, finding fish there on the first day and stuff, gives you confidence that there's fish there and you're not moving around as much.
Yeah, no, I understand. And just for the listeners, what sounder are you running at the moment?
I'm running a Lowrance HDS 9 live.
Live? Yep. Okay.
So
So
usually have
reasonably
downscan,
current.
the map on one side, and then side scan down the bottom. So
Across the bottom, yep.
Yep. So I can see either side of me what's happening, down to see if there's schools of fish underneath me, and then the map so I can make sure that, I'm on the same trail as where I've caught fish, or, exploring new areas, or I can mark trees or other things to target at.
Fair enough. All right, so, mate, on day one, you came back with 1.36. Where did that have you overnight?
It had me at 11th place, so I think I was just behind Jamie Bowden, because he...
With his one fish?
Bigger fish. One big fish beat my whole bag, so...
Yep, that's same. He weighed 141 for one. I weighed 141 for 3 on day 2.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, 11th place. All right, what happened on Sunday, mate? Where'd you head off to?
Sunday, I did the exact same thing, so I headed up to the back, But by the time I got up there, the Hobie boat was next to Tony, and, I think there was a few more kayaks ahead of me. But we got up there, and I think Tony caught his first fish, and then a few minutes later, I caught a fish. So we thought it was going to be a good day. But I think with all the boat traffic, so with the Hobie boat and a few more kayaks around, even had the marine safety boat come through, and then a few other weekend fishers and stuff around the area. I'm not sure if the bream or the bait just moved off that flat or around the area, or got a bit cagey, maybe because of the commercial fishers and stuff like that. So if they know that a net's coming through, they might move out of the area.
Yeah, potentially.
So I think I caught that one fish maybe at 8:30, and then it was really quiet on that spot. I probably tried for about 2 hours, then moved up to the shallow flat, saw some prawns jumping and fish activity, but I only caught a tailor on there. Rotated through different lures, then went back to that 2.5 flat and fished that a bit more, and only caught flathead after flathead. I think my leader, I was using 5 pound, and by the time I finished off that flat, it was like half the length it was, because I was having to change my leader, or cut off rough bits and nick bits from flathead. And then after that, I think the wind picked up, and I just moved off that flat into some deeper water, about 3 to 4 meters. And I started seeing schools of fish again. So some bait fish, some fish activity. So I started fanning some casts around, and it happened to be, right next to Simon Morley as well. So I started fanning some casts around on the blade, and I hooked my second fish.
Yep.
I think it was a 35 tipper. And then maybe 2 casts later, I hook another fish and drop it right next to the kayak.
Oh.
Would have been probably bigger than that 35. It was probably me being too excited and lifting the rod to not giving it its head to dive back down.
Sure.
between lifting the
Ouch.
fish up and trying to grab my net. Yeah, it shook its head and off it went. And then maybe 3 more casts. Got another fish and that filled my bag. So it was maybe a 34 or something like that.
Okay, so not too bad.
Yeah, so I had a 26 and those 2 fish. And then the wind kind of died down and there was still fish activity, but I couldn't get another bite. So I stayed there till about 12:30. Then I decided to see if I could get fish closer to the weigh-in, but I couldn't find them. So then that was pretty much my day.
Yeah. So you hooked 4 fish, unfortunately dropping the bigger one. Do you think the bite was similar? Were they reacting about the same?
Yeah, I think so. The technique was similar. I think I might have slowed down the fall of the lure, so pretty much hopping it and then having the rod tip high, the line tight, and then making sure I struck when I felt the bite.
Sure.
Because there was a couple times throughout the day where you felt the tick in the line, but all you felt was your lure tangled up. So,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, not sure if that was... Maybe a few of those might have been flathead, engulfing it and then spitting it back out.
Not spitting it out, or just kilo bream, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So, it was all on stealth blades. I think I went through about 6 during the comp.
Yeah.
And luckily I was able to steal some from your tackle box and also from Wayne's. So I'm very thankful for both of you for being able to raid your tackle boxes for some blades.
That's right. We both are on a percentage, mate, so we're doing okay.
I think I like the blades also because they're really soft. So the blade you can bend, so you can get a different tune out of them at times. Yeah, so you can bend it to one side and might have a little bit of a bigger wobble as well.
Okay. I've never done that before.
Yeah. It's something I used to do chasing bass in the lakes and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then just like FC rock hard 5-pound leader. I couldn't go any lighter, mainly because there's heaps of tailor and heaps of flatties. So I didn't want to lose any more lures than I had to.
No, the park was out of them. You love your Miller rods? Are you on a blade freak or?
Pretty much that weekend I used Finesse Freak. It's a 7.5 or 7'5". And it's a 2 to 5 kilo rod. I bought it for when I went to the States and did a comp over there for drop shotting and stuff like that. But being in Canberra, freshwater fishing, I use it quite a bit. So it's always in my hand, always feels comfortable. And so pretty much I kept it in my hand because it felt comfortable and pretty much, you can feel everything when, every bite, every vibe of the lure. So
when you were casting out and letting the lure sink, were you sinking on a slack line or you have a little bit of a belly in it, or what was it like?
For the first day, it was a slack line. For the second day, most of the bites I think came on a tight line, so where you could stay connected with the vibe at all times, make sure it hit the bottom and then vibe.
Yeah, because
compared to the first day where you'd watch the belly of the line and wait for it to go slack. And
I was going to say because that will also slow the sink of the lure as well.
Yeah.
So all right. I reckon that's a pretty good wrap up, John. Tell us for third place, what'd you get to take home?
I got to take home a good prize pack. There's a range of lures in there. I'm probably most excited to try the hybrid shrimp because I don't actually have one at the moment.
Yep.
And then probably the Daiwa Reflex as well. Looks like a pretty nice lure to throw. And then I also got $685 cash. And a trophy, of course.
And a trophy.
And looking back, I think I might have qualified for the AC as well.
Yeah, that'd be cool. No, you've smashed it. Very good. All right, mate. Last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Of course, I want to thank my wife. So always holding the fort down when I go fishing. It's not very easy with 2 young children, but yeah, very thankful for her being able to look after the house and the kids while I'm away. And then, Miller Rods, who look after me for my rods. Of course, Carl. Of course, everyone I stayed with, the good banter and everything like that. Yeah. And you, Andrew, for letting me always look at your tackle and steal whatever I need from your tackle box, and Wayne as well. And then, Hobie for running the comps. And also, all the round sponsors. Daiwa, and I think the round sponsor was Pro Lures. So, we'll have to thank them.
Very good, mate. Very good. All right, mate. Look, congratulations. Like I said, impressive to 1 of 2 full bags. 3rd place. Congratulations. Hopefully we get to talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right. So coming in 2nd place, we have an angler dropping 3 fish measuring or weighing 2.03 on the Saturday, backing up with just 2 fish on the Sunday for 1.29, which gave him a total of 3.32 for 5 fish. And 2nd place, I have Ben Hanscombe. Welcome back to the show, mate.
Hey, Andrew. Thanks for having me again.
Mate, I was saying, mate, we have to get you on speed dial, mate.
Yeah. Nah, it's been a pretty good run lately, but who knows how long it'll last. Just enjoying it while it's happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, we've done a bunch of interviews. Now, remember you guys smashing them on top waters down at Cooter and a bit of Munro's Plastics. But I think one of the trends that I'm seeing in the last couple of interviews and this one will be hybrid shrimps.
Yeah, for sure. Same thing. Just, different arenas. Just making it work.
Yeah, but it definitely seems to be working.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Let's move in. In terms of pre-fishing, what did you do for this one?
So a couple of weeks before the comp, the weekend before the ban, I went out on the Saturday Arvo just in the boat, had a bit of a look around, just buzzed a few edges, seen a lot of really good fish, the sort of fish that we know are in there, the big ones, but just couldn't get them to eat anything. It was quite still. Okay. They were being very weird, very fussy. Got a few smaller fish out a bit wider, outside the sort of weed and cockle, just a little bit deeper. Worked my way down the front after that, got the wind picked up a bit on that day, and managed to crank up a few sort of half-decent yellowfin down there, nothing amazing, and got a couple on the hybrid shrimp there as well. And then left there, and then with the wind being up and the banks had been hit with the wind for a while, I went back there and smacked a really good fish, well over a kilo, on her surface lure, and then a couple of casts in, and then about 10-15 minutes later I lost an even bigger one on a hybrid shrimp. So by that time it was getting late in the day, and I thought, bugger it, I'll just head in and that'll do me for this pre-fish.
100%.
Yeah, and then, sorry.
That shows a couple of things, a massive change, but you also got them on a bunch of different things, like you had a crank, hybrid shrimp, surface.
I wasn't real confident on those fish on the edges, given that they wouldn't touch a thing for me with no wind. I was hoping that we'd have wind for the comp, but we just had to wait and see. And come Friday of the actual comp, I didn't end up pre-fishing because I live close, so I ended up going to work, just left it alone and thought I'd try it all out on the Saturday.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Let's roll into the Saturday because you got one of the better bags. Yeah, tell us about your day. How'd you put them together?
So, first up, I sent it over to that spot where I got those fish on that previous couple of weeks. Threw surface in shallow, threw hybrid shrimps, tried some plastics out a little bit wider, tried deep cranking. Couldn't get a touch, not from a bream anyway, got a couple of flatties. Spent probably an hour working that edge, working another little bay, and I just thought, no, this isn't going to happen for me, so sort of moved on. Moved over towards the island. On the way down the front, it was probably, 8:15 by this point. Started crankbaiting along there, and actually cranked up my first bream, which was, 31 tipper or something, I think it was. So he went straight in the bag.
Okay.
And then sort of spent another half an hour there trying to replicate that, just moving around that sort of western side of that island where the wind was hitting it a little bit and creating a bit of a ripple, but I ended up getting one undersize there, and I got another one down a little bit further, an undersize as well, but nothing else that wanted to go in the bag.
And what were you cranking with?
At this point, it was just with a shallow jackal chubby.
Okay.
Just working it ultra slow. Got like a few flatties in there as well with that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just brim, but yeah, only the one legal from there.
Okay. And with your crankbaiting, are you a straight through guy or a braiding leader?
Yeah, just 3 pound straight through, just on the Miller rods, crank freak. Just, yeah, simple stuff. I cast it as far as possible. I was casting along the cockle edge there and just working it slowly along, and they were just nipping at it ever so slightly.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
So you got one in the well, a 31, which in the context of the comp was okay.
Yeah, I was pretty happy to be off that bloody dreaded donut, that's for sure.
100%. All right. So what'd you get up to next?
It was probably 9:30, 10 o'clock by this point. I can't remember exactly. But I sort of decided to go down the front because, yeah, that couple of weeks earlier I'd got more fish down there. I thought I want to go try and fill my bag down there. Pedalled down, went under the bridge, and then sort of started working one of the flats down there. There was a couple of bait fishermen there in their boats. So sort of had to work around them a little bit. And then, yeah, just started cranking the flats, just kept getting heaps of flatties in the same zone where I was a couple of weeks earlier. Sort of moved up a little bit shallower, into about a foot, maybe 450 of water. Started throwing the hybrid shrimp as well. And it wasn't long after that I got clunked by my better fish of the day on the hybrid shrimp.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the setup there and how are you working it?
So, same as a crank, basically. I got 2 of the same rod and reel, just 3 pound straight through. Casting it out as far as I can. If I'm in the boat, I like to work it rod tip down and just jig it like a jerk bait sort of thing and just work it slowly. It can be a bit monotonous, but when you're in real shallow water, I keep it moving most of the time just to try and replicate what a prawn does, basically, just flicking its way through the water, trying to get away. So, yeah, I just kept doing that and then eventually got that better fish, which was awesome. Chucked him straight in the well.
And did it get it straight away or did it nip at it? Or
It was sort of, that one was probably the best bite I had. Oh, no, sorry, I won't say the best bite, but it was probably the best bite I had that day. He clunked it real hard and I knew it was a brim straight away because he just took off and didn't stop. And I actually took off after him a little bit because I didn't want to let him get too far away. I didn't know what was out there that he could get me on. It was a bit overcast, couldn't see perfectly. Yeah, took off after him. A couple of minutes later, had him in the net, and after weighing the fish, because I didn't weigh any of my fish, he must have been up around 950 or a kilo. Because, yeah, the other 2 definitely was half the size, so.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It is a cool thing on the 3 pound when you get one of those bigger fish.
Yeah.
And you have to chase them.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the advantages of being in a kayak too, because you can just turn around and follow it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did. Because at that point, I was power poled down, working the area, fan casting a bit, and yeah, I just power poled up and just went round, and you can see it on the map. I've done a couple of circles chasing him around, so.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
All right, so that's 2?
Yep, that's 2. Time-wise, probably 11:30 maybe, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it was probably half an hour after that when I got my third. I kept sort of working that area, sort of drifting with the wind, because there was a bit of wind at that point. Bit of a ripple on the surface anyway, enough to give you a bit of cover, or give the fish some cover, I should say. And just, yeah, I sort of worked off the flat a little bit, because it went a bit quiet. Plenty of flathead, but no brim bites. And then, yeah, there was this first little drop-off. It only dropped off about 200 mil, but there was a bit of a darker bottom there as well. And I actually cast in behind a little bow wave, and I reckon it was a stingray or something. And cast in, let it sink, and then hopped it twice and got clunked. And same thing, it took off. So I kind of had a good feeling it was going to be a brim, so I took off after it as well. And one circle this time and plonked him in the net, and that was my third fish.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you would have been cheering like it was a hard comp. Get 3?
Yeah, I was frothing. I was really happy about that.
Yeah. And with your hybrid shrimp, which colour are you running?
So on the weekend, predominantly the olive colour, but either of the other 2 colours that have got olive, one's got the orange back and one doesn't with the stripes. Mm-hmm. So all 3 of those colours I'll rotate, but olive is predominantly the one that I prefer to use. I have used other colours and stuff as well. They seem to work, but yeah, just those were the go-to.
Oh, there you go. And okay, so was that it for the day in terms of brim, or was there more?
Brim-wise, I think I had another bite that may have been a brim, but I wasn't concerned because I had my bag and I knew it was going to be tough. I was just happy to have that, and I gave myself plenty of time. I gave myself a good hour to get back from there, even though it wasn't that far. I just wanted to make sure I got back on time, and there was no issues with the drive or anything like that. So
100%.
Just, yeah, probably gave it till about, I don't know, 1:45 or something like that, and then started pedalling back to the bridge and got on my way back, met up with a couple of people, had a chat, and that was it.
That was it. That was your day. And I think you must have been in maybe 3rd place?
I think it was, yeah. The bag weighed a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be. I didn't think it'd be, I thought it'd be around 1.7, 1.8, but to see 2 kilos was, yeah, quite surprising. It was good.
Absolutely. I think it were 3 over 2 kilos.
Yep.
So
Sounds
right
about
in
right.
between all the hurricane boys.
Yeah. Adam reminded me of that. Text me on Saturday night.
That you're in a hurricane sandwich,
That's
I
it,
believe.
yeah.
Very good. All right. What do you think of Sunday? So you've got both of your last two fish on the east of the bridge.
Yep.
What were you thinking?
Went away from that on the Saturday Arvo thing, and I've got to go down the front straight away and just spend the whole day down there. I thought I've spent half the session there and I've landed 2 fish, possibly missed a couple, but I thought for sure I'm going to go down there and just grind it out, work the whole area properly, and hopefully get 3 fish again.
Yeah. All right. So it was another nice quiet start. Like there was no wind. It's a nice way to lead off.
Yeah, it is a good way to lead off. It's just not amazing for the fishing.
It's not great for the fishing always, but pleasant. All right.
Yeah.
What'd you do? Did you go straight down there again?
Yeah, so sent it down there. Do a lot of comps and stuff with Benny Hodgkins, so he'd done a bit of fishing down there as well, and he said he was going to come down, so we just pedalled down together. He started in one spot, I started in another, and we just started working the area, really. I got into a couple of flathead, and then I got a really nice bite, which I reckon was a bream. It actually busted the end of the hybrid shrimp to bits and pulled the hook, the little plastic bit that holds the hook in. It actually bit all that off, or busted it all off.
You might have hooked it. You might have had a cracker.
I don't know. Like I thought it felt a lot like a bream bite because it ate it, it head shook and it took off and then it was gone. I mean, it could have been a flathead too and just crunched down on it as well, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That was at about 8 o'clock too after pedalling down there. Probably, I don't know, 15 minutes of fishing in. Anyway, it was what it was, so I just cut that one off and put another one on and started again, really.
Yeah, okay.
Just kept working my way along the flat.
How long did it take you to find one?
So probably spent a good 2 hours I ended up rotating through a few different lures, started throwing some plastics and stuff like that. It was very glassy, started to get really hot as well. Didn't really get anything substantial apart from flathead up until about 10:30. I got my first fish.
Wow.
I'd moved off the area where I had caught them the day before and pushed a little bit further down the front, so there's a bit of a channel and it cut back across the back of the flat. And then over the other side of that, which I didn't realise, there was another flat that had a few snags on it, like smaller snags. Not real thick ones, only like an inch thick sort of thing with a few fingers, but they had a lot of growth on them and a couple of isolated weed beds around them as well, and a little bit deeper water too. So I started working that area, and I got my first fish not long after going into there, probably 5 minutes.
Yeah, wow.
So I was pretty stoked with that. It was a good fish, but it was very skinny. I was surprised how much it actually, or the two of them weighed at the end of the day, because they were both around the same size. But yeah, I caught that fish, put it in the well, got all that sorted. The Hobie boat come past. Benny had worked his way down a little bit further as well, so they went down and took a heap of photos of him and were fiddling around with him, and I was watched them turn around. They were coming back, and I actually cast into one of those snags and hooked another one right as they were coming past, and they come over and started taking photos and stuff while I was fighting it, and it was real close to the edge of the snag, and with the 3 pound I was really just trying to get it out of there. I was right in the front of the kayak trying to weave it around it, but managed to get him out, slipped the net under him, and he was about the same size as the first one. I was absolutely stoked just to have 2 at that point. It was bloody awesome.
Yeah. What time of the day was that?
Yeah. That was probably around 11:30, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it was probably half an hour, 45 minutes after that first fish.
Yep. Yeah.
And then, he went in the well. The Hobie boat, we had a bit of a chat, and then they disappeared after that. I fished the rest of that flat, worked my way back along it, and then cast into another snag that I'd seen earlier. I was in the wrong wind direction to cast that as such, so I wanted to work my way back around and fish this other section, and I put a cast over it, laid the line down to the side, and as I moved it past the snag, I watched this fish come out and smack it and just take off straight back into it, and he was a decent fish. He was much better than the ones I had.
Yeah.
And I had nothing. I just tried a high stick and I just tried straight in there, and the 3 pound, it was done quick. Yeah.
It was all over.
Yeah, which is a shame, but that's,
Ouch.
that's fishing. That's bream fishing.
Yep, that's it. And I take it that was the last we had for the last bream you hook for the session?
Yeah, I had probably another, hour or so after that of fishing, and I couldn't get any more. Seen some nice ones on a few other snags, but at that point it was, they wouldn't eat anything, and I worked my way back off that flat and worked my way back over the other flat we'd done well on the day before. Benny actually managed to catch a couple on that flat in that time, which was good because he hadn't caught anything on on the first day, so I was pretty happy for him. But it would have been nicer if I could have put them in my live well, but that's okay. I'm just stoked he caught a couple. So,
Or one, just another.
but yeah, no, I didn't get any more bream bites or anything like that. It was all just flathead.
Yeah, no.
We even got a couple of flounder each too, which was a bit different. But yeah, gave ourselves plenty of time to get back from there as well. Didn't want anything to fail and whatnot, and just moseyed our way back.
Fair enough. And if you had to rerun the day, is there anything you'd change or the weekend?
Not really. I don't know. It was such a tough comp. Everyone really struggled. I'm just stoked to get the fish that I did end up getting. At the end of the day, I would have loved to have had 20 pound and hooked that fish and just winched it out of there, but I'm still stoked to finish where I did, so happy about it. It's good.
Very good.
Yep.
All right, mate. That is a very cool story. Tell me, for second place, what did you get to take home?
Got a second place trophy, which is awesome. $1,050 as well. Pays for a bit of the fuel. I didn't stay there, so it's a little bit of money in the pocket, which is nice. What else? We've got a heap of lures and stuff, some other sponsor stuff as well, and Anaconda voucher. Yep. What else? Bragging rights over the mates, and probably an AC spot, but I think I picked one up at Marlow anyway, so
100%.
Someone else will end up with one there.
Yeah, I think you're probably covered either way, but that's very cool. All right, mate, last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
I'd like to thank you firstly, Andrew, for your platform. It's been very informative over the years, as I always say. It's bloody awesome. Everyone gets a lot out of it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Who else? I want to thank Hobie, again, running an awesome comp. That is an awesome spot to run it out of. I know I obviously didn't stay there, but that was the first time I'd been there, and I was quite impressed with it. It was a really good venue. And by all reports, she's all had a great weekend, so even without the fishing. The missus for always being understanding when I go fishing. I don't know, just that's really about it.
That's very good.
Maybe Adam at fishing.com, he sort of helps me out a bit, just sort of always sending me lures real quick when I order them.
Yep.
Good to chat to, so that's about it, really.
I do have it on good advice that he sent you a couple of pro lures, or you've ordered a couple of hybrid shrimps.
Yeah, I got onto him when he messaged me on the Saturday evening. I made sure I put in a stock-up order because I'd lost a few to the flathead the day before, or on that day, sorry. Nah, he sorted me out there, which is really good. Appreciate it. He's a legend.
Very, very good. All right, mate. Another cool story, couple in a row for you, so I appreciate you coming on, and, mate, good luck in the Vic Brim on the weekend.
No, thank you. Weather's going to be a bit sporty, but, yeah, we'll make the most of it. Should be good fun.
Very good. All right, thanks, mate.
Thanks, Andrew.
Okay, so coming in first place, we have an angler dropping 3 fish on Saturday for 1.45 kilos. Backed it up with a much bigger bag on Sunday at 3 fish for 1.98, giving him a total of 6 fish for 3.43. And first place, I've got the second longest reigning Hobie world champion, Jack Gammie. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you, mate. Muchly appreciated. That's second longest reignings. Next time we have an interview, it will be the longest reigning world champion. So just take note there.
It's not fair, mate. That's all I'm going to say. It's not fair.
Don't whinge about stuff that you can't control. Just win another one and you'll be fine.
Well, I would win another one, but I don't think. We'll see if there is another one.
We'll see, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Having said that, mate, how good's that, mate? You might end up being the longest running world champion, and you might be the world champion.
That's a pretty good way to sign off on a great fishing chapter, I suppose.
All right, so, mate, this one, Wallaga, mate, very, very tough location, but you're only one of 2 guys to get a full bag. You must be pretty happy with that in itself, just the full bag.
Yeah, no, definitely stoked. I didn't realise that was a stat until later on that afternoon when obviously the results came out and 2 of us there was only 2 to go, 6 for 6. So after last year's results, a bit of a kick in the guts, an ego and morale destroyer. It was good just to boat 1 legal fish. 3 on day 1 was even better. Then to back it up on day 2 with another 3 and a significantly better 3 fish was good to do. So
that's it.
Yeah.
Well, your bag was, I think it was either the 3rd or 4th biggest bag on day 2, like overall. So that's pretty good in itself. And like you said, last year was very, very tough, but equally the winning result last year was amazing.
Yeah, it was outstanding. I think the second place from last year was 3.5 or 3.8 kilos, and he was, well and truly over 6 kilos. So it just goes to show the bag result for me this weekend wasn't even enough to beat the last event there. So, but that waterway's got the quality of fish to do it. Just they're a bit overfished with professionals and stuff like that, which is unfortunate. So
yeah, it seems that way. I mean, and don't get me wrong, this is not a cheap shot, but his day 1 bag I think would have beaten your 2-day bag.
Absolutely, it's not a cheap shot at all.
No.
It's It's just the facts. Like he cracked a pattern no one else could do, and you know, and he stuck at it for 2 days, and it pays off sometimes.
Yeah.
You stumble across something out of the ordinary, something different that the fish haven't seen, and it just shows.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Let's get round to you, mate. So this one, we spoke a bit before. You weren't going to do it really.
No.
So did you do any preparation at all?
No, I didn't do any preparation. I actually looked in my tackle boxes on the Thursday just to make sure I had enough trebles and what jig heads I had to stop and buy on the way down at Complete Angler. And then I tied my leaders, I think, at about 4:30 on Friday afternoon after I had a pub lunch. So no pre-fish.
No pre-fish for you?
No
Okay,
pre-fish.
cool.
Yeah.
And you stopped in to see Mick at Ulladulla?
I did. It's an always stop in there to say good day and grab a few things and have a chat about fishing.
Yeah.
And whenever I head down the south coast, so great little shop.
Absolutely. And good location, especially when you're travelling down there.
Yeah.
There's good food in Ulladulla typically. And
Good pie shop up the road too.
Hayden's Pies. Yeah.
Hayden's Pies.
Yeah, very good. All right. So, okay. So then if you've not done much in getting ready, what was your plan? What are you going to do?
My plan was simple. It was just go fishing, stress-free fishing. I had no expectations of catching fish. I just wanted a weekend off to go fishing because I don't get to do it much at all with work at the moment. And then I just stick to my strengths. I love fishing shallow water structure, so I just did that. Try to find some active fish with bait in the bays or up against the banks and all that sort of stuff, and had to adapt a little bit because I was spooking too many fish with a hidden weight, so to speak. So I had to go to a worm hook so I could lighter and more skip cast it in rather than land it on the snag or land it in the snag, so to speak. So the skip cast is a little bit more subtle, but also imitates a prawn or a baitfish fleeing across the top, which a lot of people probably don't realise or don't think about when they're actually fishing structure. So I did that, and the bites started to come a little bit more frequently. But with a worm hook fishing weedless, you tend to pull a few more hooks if you're not ready or the line angle's all wrong. So yeah,
Right.
that happened.
And what plastic were you running? What'd you put it on?
I was just throwing a dirty camo gulp shrimp from Berkeley.
Yeah, nice.
Just slug it out and
Yeah.
just twitch it either like a prawn or a baitfish. They're a slow natural sink already, so that's one of the other reasons I particularly like them.
Yeah.
The flathead do like them as well, but it was just one of my go-to baits a lot of the time when it's tough, or even when it's not tough. I like throwing it around, so
Yeah,
it's a confidence bait for me, that's for sure.
Sure. And which worm hook do you like for that sort of fishing?
Normally run the Van Fook, but I ran the Gammie on the weekend. I just found there's a bigger gap on the Gammie than the Van Fook, so the hook set's a little bit better, and
Sure.
I find it goes in just that little bit better.
Yeah. Are they the
Yeah, it's a little bit wide, it's a little bit deeper in the initial, but you're targeting big fish, so you want that bigger gap for the hook to sit in there nicer. So yeah, did that, and then because when the wind picked up and it was a bit of an overcast day, also got one of my key fish on day one on the black pro lure crankbait, which is not something I like throwing, but it's desperate times, desperate measures.
Right. And,
Yeah.
Okay. So with the black pro lure, what sort of structure? Were you just fishing weed edges or?
No, just a lot of the time, like I noticed the fish were not on the structure. They were actually, 10 or 15 metres off it, just cruising up and down. I noticed a few schools doing that, and then also I could see them on the side scan just scooting up and down. And whenever they took off out of the snags, they didn't actually keep going. They just sat in that sort of depth, that 3.5 to 4 foot along the edge, wherever there was that available. So it was just, I'll just crank bait a little bit and got a couple of bites, and then it was enough to put 3 together on Saturday, and then a small upgrade later in the day on one of those new Samaki 4 prawns, which are they have a really, really good action. Slow sinking, so they're perfect for glass out conditions, but phenomenal action if you can get them past the tailor.
But then, okay, so when you say a small upgrade, how much of an upgrade do you reckon?
Probably 150 to 200 grams. It was 26 tip. It would have been 32 to 33 tip. So
Yeah.
significant enough to make a difference.
Well, that was the win or loss there. That was first or second place.
Yeah.
So
the beauty about that 26 tip was it was actually really fat. So I could nearly have thrown out a 29 tip for it, but I couldn't be bothered pulling scales out because it wasn't worth,
yeah, you might as well just win it.
Yeah, may as well just try and catch bigger fish.
That's it. That's it. A couple of questions with the gulp on the worm hook. How's it go in terms of staying on the hook?
You probably get 2 or 3 fish per prawn per gulp shrimp, which for me is, that's enough.
Yeah.
If you miss a hook, you can slide it back up. Miss a hook up, you can generally slide it back up. But if you do hook one, a good one, 9 times out of 10 the prawn's off. If you've hooked one over a kilo, the prawn's just vanished.
Yeah.
A flathead will make a mess of it. But you can also pull it away from the flathead as well, because I stand up a lot and sight cast.
Okay.
And try and pitch my plastic into the snag where I want to land it, or in between cockleweed and on sandy pockets or rocky points in the cockleweed. So it just enables me to do that without having to take weed off it all the time.
Yeah. One of the things that surprised me about what you've said about catch them on the edges, on pre-fish day, I went for a paddle around and I couldn't spot a fish I couldn't spot a bream. There's heaps of mullet, but I couldn't spot bream on the edges, which is why I didn't go that way.
Wouldn't say I found heaps on them, but when I did find them, where they were sitting, and I was speaking to Benny Hanscombe about it too, where they were actually sitting was right underneath the log, or they were just like tight. So you couldn't see them until you actually put a cast in there or got too close or hit the snag, and you'd spook them. So I'd have to stand up and look at the snag first, and then try and position the kayak with the wind and everything, and slowly drift in there and skip cast where I needed to land it. And if I got it where I wanted it, you'd get a bite. I missed a couple of bites when I put the right cast in, especially when it went below, the bottom half of the radius of the log where they were actually sitting.
Sure.
But yeah, time on the water there was a case of missing those bites, not reacting quick enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And what's your rod of choice for that, rod and reel?
I've got 2 or 3 different. I'm not one of these anglers that have 6 of the same rods. I think I've got majority of them are Daiwa. All my old rods are now, all my rods are now Daiwa. I've got the old black label cork butts. 1 to 3 kilos, 7 foot. I find perfect for that. They're short, they're sharp, they're like fast action, so hook set's good, and they've got a good backbone.
Yep.
And then the other one I use is like a 6.6 in feet, one of the first ranges.
Yeah.
I find that very good for accurate casting. Like, still cast a long way, but I can, I can roll my wrists and flick a skip cast in, or I can do an overhead cast and pitch it in there. So I find it very, very accurate. So, and that's a 1 to 4 kilo, so it's soft. It's soft. So if you hook a good fish, you've literally got to sit down and pull reverse and paddle out and hope that they don't do you.
Okay, because you're not using the rod to do it.
You're not using the rod, no.
Well, that's still pretty cool.
Yeah, like it's still strong enough, and I've caught some cracking fish on it, but the downside of that being a smaller rod is also got the smallest reel on it. It's got my 1000, so the drag on that's not fantastic, and the ratio, I find you need a little bit bigger reel when you're doing that kind of fishing to get the line back on the fish.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
very cool. All right. Well, look, Saturday you ended up with 1.45. So I want to point out that I had you at that point.
Yep.
Where were you sitting overnight?
8th, the back end of the top 10. So
yeah,
just where I like being sometimes.
Yep. No pressure, but
no pressure.
Still obviously in striking distance.
In striking distance, but I still had a fair bit of ground to make up on the leaders, which I didn't think I could do, especially with the fish that they were sitting on schooled fish. So, yeah, I didn't think I could make up that much ground.
Yeah.
But anything happens with this fishing that we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Sunday morning, mate, what's your plan?
Rinse and repeat was the actual plan. Started in the same bay, looking at the same snags I saw fish on and missed an opportunity on the day before on a really good fish. So I went, all right, I'll go back down there. Same sort of conditions first thing in the morning, and I didn't not see a bream on any of the snags. I went, all right. But what I noticed was as soon as I drifted off the bank in about 9 foot, I'm old school with what I do in. So I think it's 3.3.
Three,
Yeah, just
3
in that.
meters probably.
Yeah, around that 3 meter mark, I noticed the fish was holding off the edge, like suspended and schooled up, but which is telling me that they're active. And missed a couple of. I had a baby vibe, I think. Had it rigged up, sitting in the tray beside me. And I went, well, I noticed from the day before that the fish had left a whole heap of tiny, tiny little cockle shells in my live well.
Okay.
So on Saturday afternoon, I had rigged up some of the small River to Sea baby vibe from fishing.com with just a single hook on the back, so it gives it a better action. You sometimes miss a couple of bites, but if it's a shutdown bite, but I find if the fish is going to eat it, it's going to eat it anyway, so it doesn't matter. And just threw that around and pulled hooks straight away. Had a bite first cast and then kept working away down, and then found another school of fish just off from the snag that I'd seen a good one the day before. Got the first fish, then fished the bay. The other key thing I was looking for was active bait. Bait that was pushed up and holding on the surface, not so much on the bottom. Because my brain works in weird ways when it comes to fishing and bait fishing and chasing pelagics. Whenever you chase pelagics, you always know if your bait or your vibe or your metal lure sinks below the bait school. More often than not, you'll either catch a dew, a snapper, and the bream get in there as well. So they're just, scabs. I find that active bait with other active fish feeding sort of turns them on quickly, but they can turn off just as quick as the pelagics do. And just casted the baby vibe around that and picked up one other good one on my way out of the bay because I saw like 5 or 6. No, I probably saw a dozen solid dots suspended off the bottom.
On side scan?
On side scan, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And they were like, to me, that was like a pack of bream hunting.
Yeah.
Because one thing I also noticed with that fishery was heavily bait fish dominated.
Mm-hmm.
So from past experiences and past venues, like places like Malakuta, the fish are clued into hunting in packs and hunting down the bait fish. So I tried to target that and got one really good fish that would have been around that kilo mark.
Okay.
And this is by about 8:30.
Wow.
But that was on the baby vibe, so it was off the bottom. So whether that fish has seen it go down and then he's picked it up. And then after that, I think I caught one flathead for the next 5 hours. And just cast and cast, and the wind picked up, and I went, well, I'm not giving up, because I went into the bay where we got our fish yesterday on the Sunday, and I found out that the hurricane guys were struggling. A few were sitting on 0. A couple only had the one fish. I went, oh, this might suit me.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one okay fish. I've got one little fish. If I just keep casting and keep casting, which is something I don't normally do. Sometimes, not most of the time, I just roll over and I've had enough. But for some reason, something was telling me, Jack, just keep casting.
Yeah,
it'll happen. And one of the last wind blown banks off the second drop off. So there's a few drop offs on the deeper banks. There was like 3 sort of levels. Yeah, the in shallow, and then it'd drop down to 4 foot, and then it'd go down to 9 foot. Then further out, it'd drop down in the main basin, it'd drop down to that 20 foot mark.
Okay.
So I found that they were sitting on the second and third drop.
Right.
And I just had to wait for them to bite. And I finally got one to bite at 1:15 on Sunday afternoon.
Oh,
So,
you would have been due to turn around by then.
Yeah, I had one more wind blown point to fish. And I got that one as a good friend Francis D. Martinez paddling across. And I go, mate, I just got my 30. He goes, really? I've got one. I said, here, just cast here. And we fished the points all the way back in here. It was funny because we're counting the clock down and going, I could do with an upgrade. Throw out the small fish that I've got in my bag. Not knowing what anyone else had or what Benny Hanscombe had. and then all of a sudden Francis is just loaded up, and this thing has just peeled line like a freight train, and rather than the line angle be to the bottom, within about 10 seconds, the line was parallel to the water. That's how much line it took.
Wow.
So, yeah, we didn't get to see it, but we're calling a Dewey.
Okay.
So, yeah.
There was a couple of big Jews caught. I'm told. So
I think this one would have nudged that metre 10 mark. I think.
wow.
Just the way it took off.
Yeah.
Just didn't stop. So
Well, there you go.
It was definitely a great round for redemption after the last one.
100%. I think that probably covers the fishing. I mean, the baby vibe was a black.
No, it was black and gold.
Black
That's
gold.
all I had. Yep.
Okay, so there's the one they call the muscle colour. Leaders for the weekend?
4 pound.
4 pounds, so nothing special.
But long. I get lazy when I'm out the kayaks. When I tie my leaders, I like 3, 4 rod lengths. So it sort of mimics a straight through presentation. Just about. I find there isn't that much difference from straight through if I run a longer leader, and I still get the sensitivity and the feel from the braid.
Mm-hmm.
So a little cheat for anyone that wants or considering running straight through. Just run a longer rod leader, and that way you don't have to retie it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If you've cut it and retied heaps of lures onto it, stays
Absolutely.
long.
And I assume you're FG not
FG, yeah.
FG. Yeah. How many turns in 4 pound?
Oh, I don't know. I just go probably about 10 mil overall for the knot.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's not heaps. That's probably only 25.
Yeah, it might be 20 or 5 wraps, but it's not a lot. It's enough. Like
obviously,
the line pops before that knot gives way.
Yeah, that's the good thing about the FG. And as your terminal knot, what are you tying to your split ring?
Just a blood knot.
Blood knot?
Like a simple blood knot. Otherwise, if it's no split ring, it's just a loop knot to the eye of the lure, which is what the baby vibe was. So a bigger loop knot gives it more. It enables the lure to work better, I find.
Yeah.
Same as anyone clued into throwing top water. They won't have a split ring. They'll throw a loop knot on their top water.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And before we move off the fishing, was there any fish that you dropped that you went, oh, no?
There was one on Saturday, actually, in about a foot of water on a tree snag. I got the bite, set the hook, and then it just took off through the shallows. I saw it. It was making bow waves, and then next thing you know, my gulp shrimp just flies out of its mouth. I went, oh, God, there's one I'm not getting back. It was probably, it looked to be around that 700-800 gram mark.
Wow.
From what I saw. It could have been slightly bigger because the way it took off through the shallows. Yeah. It went right angle, it went parallel to the bank. So it's one of those, I swam through the snag and I looked at my leader and it was pretty chafed up. So if I had landed it, who knows? Might have been up a bit closer to the top and may not have caught the fish on Sunday. So
that's right. It might have changed things.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. For this one, mate, first place, I think there was about 75 people. What'd you get to take home?
$2,000.
$2,000.
Covers fuel costs and, it was good. It was a nice drive home. Kept me awake the whole time.
Absolutely. What else did you get to take home? There was more.
Some cracking prizes. I went through the prize bag today and Pro Lure, Hurricane, Daiwa, they've really put an effort in the last couple of years with quality lures that we're actually going to throw in the water, not so much in the bin.
Absolutely. They were good pack.
That was great pack. The Pro Lure stuff was fantastic. Some of the clone prawns, I give to my brother and he outfishes me with them.
Nice.
Crankbait, I've got a couple of, I actually got the super shallow crankbait, which is one of my favourites for Foster.
Yep.
I won't say anything else on that. If you watched the last podcast I was on, I explained in depth what we were doing there.
There you go.
And then some great plastics from Daiwa and Hurricane as well. So that was really good.
Very, very good. And the last thing you would have got, we got two more things. You would have got a trophy.
Yeah, I got the trophy. That's sitting next to the red one in the room, the world's one.
The world's one. Very good.
Yeah. Which is actually, and then the other one, the other trophy from 8 years ago is mounted above the world's one as well. So
how
a little trophy room. Yeah.
How good's that? All right, mate. Look,
Yeah.
last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Just the team at Hobie, with what's with everything happening at the moment, it's just still being able to present a tournament series for us anglers to go and, not just catch fish and, tell lies and stuff like that, but just hang out as mates.
Yeah.
We can have any kind of walk of life there, and that's the best thing about these Hobie events, and that's why I keep coming back. Even though I say, "Oh, this is probably my last one. This is probably my last one. This is probably my last one," I still turn up.
Exactly.
Just that Hobie guys, the guys that actually fish, that they push you to be better without indirectly. Sorry, they indirectly push you to be better, which is one of the best things about it. But it'd be nice if they shared some information with me. That's for sure.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right? They're going to give you nothing.
I think I lost that privilege about 9 years ago.
I reckon. You're doing okay.
So, but no.
Very good, mate. Well, look, thanks for coming on and sharing, mate. I really appreciate that. Congratulations on a win in what is one of the toughest rounds that we've had. And, mate, well done.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. Okay, so that's it. A cracking little event there. I really did enjoy fishing this one. Fortunately for me, my best round for a little while with 5th place. What I did is, I probably should share it. I just decided to grind it out, and I basically fished the whole weekend with baby vibes and maybe bivvies. I can't remember. It's a couple of months back. I found a little bit of a hump where there seemed to be a few fish on it, just right in the front of the main bay there, the first bay. And I thought, I'm just going to keep casting and mix it up. Fortunately, was able to get three okay ones on day one. And then on day 2, on the Sunday, I was able to get 2, and I reckon I dropped another one. So one more fish would have made it really interesting, would have put me up into the top 3, I'd imagine. But yeah, still had a good time. It was good to have the family there and the place. If you're looking for somewhere to take your family, I would highly recommend the little park. I think from time to time the fishing would be a lot better. Last year we did catch a lot more flathead, or I caught a lot more flathead, which would be good for the people who like that sort of stuff. Anyway, cracking little event. Congratulations to the top 3 on the podium. They all gave interesting interviews and all coming from a slightly different perspective. So I really appreciate that. All right, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Hopefully I'll get another one out tomorrow. That's the plan, but I think the next one's quite a long episode. So fingers crossed that I get the time to do that. And yeah, I'll talk to you next time on the Lure Fishing Project.
Thanks for listening to the Lure Fishing Project. For extra episodes, the Big Bream series and more, join us at the Lure Fishing Project Collective. We'll catch you next time.